Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, more set 10 content. We're talking about the best ways you can use the new SCRs from set 10. A lot of people tell you they're not very good. I don't really know what they're talking about. They're definitely different. They definitely have comparisons to be made to older SCRs and just newer strategies, but they're very good. And I'm gonna try to explain that to you in today's video, some of the best applications. So guys, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell so you don't miss a video. If you want to support the channel, there are many free ways to do that. You can always like the video, maybe share the video, maybe watch an ad. But if you guys really want to help the channel out, go to the description down below, check out my Gemmy page where you can potentially sponsor your own video. Really cool opportunity, guys. And as always, if you want to buy or pre-order any cards you see in today's video, make sure to use my link to TCG Player down in the description. That being said, let's get started. So getting started here, we have 4 different SCRs, a little bit of a different SCR structure than we're used to. So we have our 3 main set SCRs. I'm assuming they will be distributed the same way we've been seeing in the past, probably 2 per case. So at least if you get a case, you're guaranteed to get 2 of them. And normally these things do hold a price tag over $100. If it's good enough, it'll even reach 200 plus. So sometimes, you know, they can definitely make your investment in a case worthwhile. And in my opinion, these are all very good, very playable SCRs that will probably at least be $100 each. The Gogeta might be a little bit higher in my opinion, but I guess we'll get into my opinions on them as we go through the video. And then we have Sin Shenron, a really new type of SCR in the game. It's not really an SCR in terms of like a main set. The way you get it, to my understanding, is from store championships that are starting in August, I believe. And there's actually going to be a lot of ways to get this card, so I think it'll be a little bit on the cheaper side, because as far as I'm aware, you get the gold foiled Sin Shenron if you win a store championship, but then there are non-gold foiled Sin Shenrons that I believe are going out for maybe top 4, maybe top 8, some other placing in that store championship tournament. So I think that the Sin Shenron will be a lot more accessible than the rest of the cards, and it's really great because Sin Shenron is actually really generic as well. But in general, these are all very generic SCRs. They can work if your archetype can support them, and we're going to talk about that as we go along in the video. So first one I want to talk about, Sin Shenron Negative Energy Incarnate. We have a 7-drop yellow battle card, ultimate deflect blocker, permanent. Reduce energy cost of this card in your hand by 1 for each card in your drop area with an energy cost of 1. Note that it doesn't care what color or types of cards the 1-drops are in your drop area. This card can't be removed from your battle area by your opponent's skills. So they can't remove it with any type of removal effect. It's going to stick around. It's a blocker, and with the auto, when you activate this card's blocker skill, switch this card to active mode, and it gets minus 5,000 power for the turn. So realistically, you might stop blocking with this thing when it reaches around 15k power if you really don't want it to die, but that means it can stop anywhere from like 4 to 5 swings. That's a really good SCR, and it's a more defensive SCR. We haven't really seen too many defensive SCRs like this, and it's really cool to see this become a thing. Like, just a blocker that can block multiple attacks per turn, that is really high value. One of the things they're doing in set 10 is making blockers way more worth it, and that's really cool for me to see. I think this is a very good SCR. Let's talk about some strategies that can support it. So of course, this is meant to be played with your typical Shadow Dragon deck. The mono yellow version of Shadow Dragons, the blue yellow version of Shadow Dragons, they play a ton of 1-drops. You have your negative energy 1-star balls. You also have the negative energy ball for Hazy Shadow Dragon. So right then and there, you have a bunch of 1-drops. Any negates you play, keep in mind as well, any 1-drop negates you play, Time Magic, Nimbus, Release from Evil, those are going to count towards reducing Sin Shenron's cost. So just being defensive like you're pretty much inherently going to be in Shadow Dragons is going to allow you to drop Sin Shenron. And then negative energy 1-star ball, activate main, pay a yellow. If your other card's a Shadow Dragon card and you place this card in your drop area, shoot up to 1 Sin Shenron with energy cost between 2 and 4 in your deck or hand, play it, then shuffle your deck if you look through it. So if you have this Sin Shenron in your hand and its cost is reduced by 3 at least from, you know, all the 1-drops in your drop area, negative energy 1-star ball can play this Sin Shenron from your hand for 1. So that's a really cool way to cheat it in. But besides that, I mean, it's a specified cost of 1 anyway. So if you have 6 1-drops in the drop, you're going to be able to play it for 1 no matter what, which is really cool. We have Son Goku, The Adventure Begins here, representing Skillless. I do think Sin Shenron is going to be a really cool deck in Skillless. I want to shout out Peter Katani for messaging me about this cool interaction, because like I said before, he reminded me that this card doesn't care what color the 1-drops are, doesn't care what type of cards they have. They don't have to be battle cards as long as they're 1-drops. So you have Adventure Begins, you have Bonds of Friendship Android 8, you have Power Burst, you have any other 1-drops you might be playing in the deck. And as I mentioned before, I think if you're going to play Skillless in this upcoming format, I think it's going to be red black, or I think it's going to be yellow black. I think those are two of the best ways to do it. Also, if you're playing the Catapesla engine, the one drop Catapesla does also get you closer to playing Sin Shenron for cheap. So in my opinion, skillless and of course Shadow Dragons, that one's pretty obvious. I think those are going to be very, very good strategies to play Sin Shenron in. Next up, we're talking about SS4 Gogeta. Sorry, the image is a little bit blurry. There aren't super clear scans online yet, but I do kind of know what they do, so I'll just read it off. Ultimate Triple Strike. It's 10 drop, 45k, permanent. You can't play battle cards. This card can't be removed from your battle area by skills, and you can't combo with cards in your battle area. So once you play this thing, I mean, unless your opponent can somehow negate the skills, this thing is sticking around. You can't play any more battle cards, and you can't even combo it off to get this effect over with, which is sometimes, you know, floodgatey cards like the King Vegeta 6 drop. People have done that in the past to get around that, but this card doesn't allow you to do that. Activate main, pay 5. If all your energy is the same color, play this card from your hand, draw 2 cards, switch up to 2 of your energy to active mode, and then your opponent chooses 2 cards in their hand and 2 of their battle cards and sends them to their owner's warps. Now, when this card first got released, I saw a lot of people saying that it wasn't that great, and man, this card is really insane. Like, it's not super flashy, but it just pluses you so hard. So let's break it down. If all your energy is the same color, so this has tripped some people up, and we are waiting for an official ruling on this, but the way I understand it to be is Bandai has set a precedent. Like, for example, the SS3 reboot leader, it specifically says monocolor on it. So this thing saying all energy being the same color, it makes me think it works more like the IARs, in the sense that as long as all your energy is of one color, that can include multicolors. So as long as you have like a red yellow, red yellow, red yellow, and then like a red charged, this should theoretically work. So that's the way I'm interpreting it to be. It could definitely be monocolor only. That is a possibility, but I don't really think that's the case. So play this card from your hand, draw 2, so +2. Switch up 2 of your energy to active mode, so you get a plus in energy, which is pretty cool. Then your opponent chooses 2 cards in their hand and 2 of their battle cards, send them to the owner's warp. Overall, this is a +6 in card advantage. And again, it's not super flashy. It's not Cell Xeno. It's not like Smoke Dragon. I don't know, but in a sense, it's similar to Smoke Dragon because you really do just have a huge swing and advantage in your favor. I think this card is absolutely incredible. The fact that it kind of floodgates you out from playing other battle cards, kind of unfortunate, but this guy should theoretically stick around for the rest of the game after you drop him. So how are we going to use this guy? Well, in Soul Striker Reboot, this card is actually really cool because it's a 1-drop SCR. The fact that it's a 1-drop SCR though is a little bit weird because it's not like you can follow up and play another battle card next to this, but it does mean you have access to all your defense on your opponent's turn. You're going to have this 45k triple striker standing on your turn, swinging, going the +6 in advantage, and then you're going to be able to have 4 energy up on your opponent's turn for defense. So that could theoretically mean that you're going to have your Frost Poison available if you're playing like maybe a blue-yellow build. You can definitely play Unisons after playing this SS4 Gogeta, so that can definitely be a powerful thing as well. Let's say you don't have any of your Goku Blacks on board or any of your SS3 Gogeta Unisons on board. You can get them on board with the untap of the leader, so that's a really cool way to use that as well. I think if you're playing any monocolor deck, this is basically going to be a strong consideration for an SCR. I basically have SS Gogeta Dynamic Unison here representing any monocolor Unison deck because, again, you can play Unisons while this guy's on board. You have to remember that. And in any monocolor deck, this guy is a valid target. We know that at least for a fact. We don't know if you can play him with multicolors. Again, I'm assuming that's the way it is going to work. But if you can't, let's just say, you can play him in any monocolor deck. Mono yellow Gotenks, mono red Yamcha, mono green Frieza, mono green Super Saiyan Goku. So keeping those in mind, this card is an excellent usage for those leaders that don't have a better SCR. And in this sense, I've talked about it a lot where there are really generic options for the SCR slot. You have Black Smoke Dragon, you had Negative Energy Dragon Balls. Even Cell Xeno is pretty generic in a sense where as long as you were playing like green yellow or mono green or mono yellow, Cell Xeno was an option for you. Now SS4 Gogeta is in that mix as well for generic SCR purposes, and it's really cool because he's a bit more of an aggressive generic SCR than Smoke Dragon, then Negative Energy Dragon Balls. So really cool to see that there. All right, next up we're talking about SS3 Gotenks, Ultimate Double Strike, 40k, 8-drop. Now, one thing we have to keep in mind here, permanent, reduce energy cost of this card by 1 for each battle card of 15,000 power in your drop area. Now, it doesn't say in your hand reduce the cost. That could be problematic in the future. As far as I'm aware, if it doesn't say in hand, the permanent will only apply to it on the field. So this might need to get a minor errata just to basically clarify that it works in the hand, because if it doesn't work in the hand, then you pretty much have to cast this thing for 8, and that's kind of problematic. But ignoring that, because I'm assuming it will get errated, permanent, negate the skills of all other battle cards. That is only going to affect battle cards on the board. Keep that in mind, because battle cards are only considered battle cards in the battle area. Auto, when this card is removed from your battle area by an opponent's skill, choose all of your opponent's battle cards and energy in rest mode, ignoring barrier, and place them in their owner's drop area. So your opponent gets really punished for removing this battle card, and it's not like the most threatening thing in the world. It doesn't have deflect, doesn't have barrier. It's a 40k double striker, and that's pretty much it. It's a really big double striker, and it does negate all the other battle card skills on the board. That is very good, but it's not like a triple striker or a quad striker or a dual attack double striker. So just keeping those things in mind, I think it's pretty fair the way it's designed. Let's talk about some of the ways we can use it. So of course, if you're playing pure Gotenks, if you're playing pure fusion Gotenks, you're going to have the Goten trunks of 15k power. You're going to be pitching them to the drop area to either recur different Goten trunkses or to fuse off into Gotenkses. So that being said, getting the 4 15ks in the drop area should be relatively easy in that strategy. One thing I want to talk about as well, the green yellow strategy, playing anything like Vegeta the Cruel, Chompa the Trickster, Hellfighter 17 the Neutralizer, those are all 15k battle cards. Keep in mind, this secret rare does not require them to be yellow battle cards in the drop area. It can be any color battle cards as long as they have 15k power. You can even look into black, like silver bullet cards that are 15k that can work very well in terms of getting this guy reduced to a 4 drop, which is the minimum you can reduce him to since he has 4 specified. But a turn 4 SCR in some decks is actually gonna be pretty easy rather than others. So that's gonna be pretty cool. So if you're playing green yellow, you'll have cards like Vegeta the Cruel, Chompa the Trickster, and you can play this instead of Cell Xeno. Maybe you don't own Cell Xeno, maybe your deck isn't really focused on board spam, maybe you really want the effect to negate all other battle card skills. Maybe that's a really meta relevant skill. That's a really good way to load the drop area for Gotenks. Next up, this is actually probably my favorite SCR of the set. Grade 8 Mass Saiyan Primal Carnage, 8 drop 40k ultimate. If your other card's mono green and you remove this card from your combo area from the game, when this card's used in a combo, choose one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and KO it. So during either player's turn, as long as your leader's mono green, this is a 1 energy kill anything. That is really cool. I think people are kind of undervaluing how powerful that is, especially on defense. I mean, think about, you know, Shugeshi Kid Goku. That was a free way to do that in the opponent's turn. It was absolutely broken. This is a 1 energy 1 card combo to do the same thing. I think that's very good. Activate main, pay 5 green, play this card from your hand and gains dual attack and triple strike for the turn. We've seen similar things to that with like the SS4 Gogeta SCR. It's a little bit different, but kind of the same. Now, what's really cool about this is this activate main doesn't care what color your leader is. So as long as you're playing enough green, like even in a blue-green deck, you can end up doing this, which is pretty cool. So how are we going to use this? This is another really good alternative to Cell Xeno Unspeakable Ambition. Again, sometimes you're not going to be able to spam a board. Sometimes you're not going to be able to meet the 12 cost for Cell Xeno. And Cell Xeno, honestly, it takes setup. Like, it is an amazing SCR. It's borderline broken, but it takes setup. And sometimes in the right format, like if your opponent has enough board control, they can kind of mess your setup up, and that can really hurt your strategy. So grade 8 Mass Saiyan Primal Carnage could be a good SCR in place of that. And in Last Resort Frieza and SS Goku, the board wiping Goku, I think this is going to be a very good SCR choice. In Frieza, for example, you're not really spamming a board. You're not putting out a ton of big cost battle cards to play Cell Xeno. You could play Smoke Dragon, which can rip your opponent's hand further, which is very good. But if you need the finishing power, if you need the removal, I think grade 8 Mass Saiyan is a very good card. And then same thing in SS Goku. You're kind of clearing your own board as you're clearing your opponent's board. So with that in mind, you're not going to always have the ability to play Cell Xeno. I mean, it is possible because you do play a bit more high cost cards than Last Resort Frieza does. But if you are clearing your own board, if your opponent's good and they put you in a position where you have to clear your own board, you might want the Primal Carnage to just get the easy dual attack triple strike finisher, not have to worry about, you know, the setup of Cell Xeno. So I think those are good ways to use those cards. So guys, overall, that's my opinion on these SCRs. I think they're very good. So let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Thank you for watching. I will see you guys next time.